Welcome back to the Unranked podcast. Got Grant, Elijah back a couple weeks off. I'm going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to talk about Michigan football today. They just finished up spring practice, got their spring game this weekend. So we'll just dive in, just kind of some of the different storylines we've been hearing, just how players have been developing and all that good stuff. Then we'll also touch on the Lions. They've been pretty active in free agency. Got the draft around the corner as well. So just really looking and excited to see, who they decide to go with just based off of free agency. So I'm going to throw it to you, E, to kind of kick things off here. Starting back with Michigan football. Takeaways from Michigan football, things you've liked, you've heard. I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, no, I guess the number one thing I'm excited about would just be JJ McCarthy having that full off season. Something he was robbed of last year. I do think he came in early as a freshman, but he was robbed of that last year. And I think you could see that where he didn't really hit his stride until he was a starter for a couple of weeks. So just having him the starter this whole time, getting reps this throughout, the 4 or 5 months leading into the season, I think is going to be major. And that's one thing I'm probably the most excited about. I believe the two teams are head coached by Mike Hart and Jay Harbaugh. Interesting to see, what Mike Hart can do as far as, he gets players fired up, motivated. I was interested to see which one of the running backs he ends up with, or I'm blanking on that now, but, just kind of the inner game with some of the players that we have. We really have 2 starters at running back. We have every receiver coming back other than Ronnie Bell.
Yep.
And so I would just say, I'm just looking for some of those inner battles, some new players on defense stepping up. A player you named earlier, I'll let you go ahead and talk about him. But just some of the new blood coming in and getting an early taste of who will be a star for the next coming up season. So, that's some of the things I'm looking to work with. And just I've heard JJ's put on a little bit of weight. All positive things. If he's got to work since getting. I don't know. Let's not even rehash what happened in the playoff game. But if he's been putting in work since then, I think that's all good. Use that as motivation.
Yeah. And I think this would be a good opportunity. And spring ball is always a great opportunity to kind of build off of wherever you finished that last season or improve from last season, depending on who your team is. I just all positive signs I think I've heard just from JJ McCarthy, like you said, putting on some extra weight and getting an opportunity to be in a full spring practice. Did hear that you got some guys like on the defensive side of the ball, Marion Walker. He's kind of been playing as that number 2 corner, 6'4", 170, 175, run like a 4.3, 4.4. So excited to kind of see how he's able to carry that momentum into potentially being that starter, come September. What I just love too is, we're bringing back so many people. We were able to add in, a lot of these transfers, like the guy from Nebraska, got a couple kids from Stanford, a couple kids even from, a Big Ten rival, decided to come join up with us. So, what'll be interesting to see is how they come in, plug in, and I know we definitely needed like some more linebacker help. So it'd be good to just see, what that individual Hoffman, how he's able to contribute. We had a couple pieces on the O-line that we lost just to the NFL. So got some guys in there that we're just going to be looking to plug in. And I think everything's really just, it's exciting that they're kind of like to this point of the year, because now it's like, all right, now it's off season, like summertime. We're that much closer to football season overall, coming back around the corner. So I think it's just all positive signs. I'm looking forward to, just watching that spring game on Saturday and just seeing, who shows up and shows out, and just seeing like some of these guys have developed over the winter.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that's the one thing about football is you can constantly improve, constantly, especially if you can know who you're working with and who you can gel with. And I think this is one of the earlier steps where you can begin to see who's gelling together, who just gets it early on. And I
Yep.
think there's obviously a lot can happen from now until August, and a lot of dog days, 2 days, a lot of hidden. But I think this is the first glimpse of kind of what you're getting. And I think
Hmm.
the last couple of years, it feels like we're losing just I don't know, just rock star after rock star, whether it's Hutchison, Jabo, Mozzie Smith, whoever, we're
Yep.
but we always seem to reload,
Yep.
and a couple of them players, Graham, defensive lineman last year. I think you mentioned Grant earlier before we hopped on.
Yep.
Highly touted freshman from last year. Didn't get a lot of tick, but a lot of people are talking about him. I know whatever the YouTube channel is where they went and walked around the Big Ten, or I think it was called Dynasty. But anyways, I remember he was kind of featured in that, and he showed that he has a lot of star power even off the field. So seeing what some of these players can do when they're reloading and coming back, um, you know. I'm just excited. I think we can truly have a team that could three-peat. Forget the exact numbers, but I know we have a lot of returning players.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I think I'm kind of spitballing this, but I remember if you go too deep on both sides, I think we're returning. It was like 30 of 44 total players or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And you can work with that, especially if this is
Absolutely.
back-to-back Big Ten teams and some of the biggest question marks that typically hold teams back. We seem to have answered. JJ is our guy.
Mhm.
We have not one but two very good NFL caliber running backs.
Mhm.
Um,
Receiving core look
star
crazy
star
too.
tight star tight end when in Loveland. I can't wait to see what he does with another year under his belt as well. And like you said, yeah, receivers, lots of guys, and it's really going to show out. I think we have what we've had for the last couple of years are just by committee. Not one single guy we know we can step back and throw it to, and he's going to go get it and get 7, 8, 9 catches a game for 100 yards. We haven't had one of them guys consistently. We've had
Mhm.
players step up for flashes, but I think I'm excited to see what that receiver room can do. I'm blanking on his name. What is it? Amari Walker. I know he was
Oh,
highly touted
Marion
for.
Walker.
Yeah, I know he was highly touted. I believe you got like Cornelius Johnson coming back.
Yep.
Roman Wilson. Lot
Mhm.
guys who've had lots of flashes or are highly touted. And that's mainly what I'm looking for. Just to really see
Yes.
who can put it together. Um, and it makes me want football back already.
Yeah,
It's
no,
good.
I'm right there with you. And I just think like, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing who's gonna kind of like take off and explode. And you got all these, and one thing you kind of forget about too is like all these freshmen that came in, that were down in Arizona, doing like college football playoff practice and all that, like the Cole Cabanas, the Zaire Hills. You got a lot of guys that are just really, getting that work in and the depth. I mean, like you said, like being able to go 2 deep, 3 deep at some positions. And I just like how we're able to, overall just plug in, some of those holes. Just we lost people from
Mm-hmm.
graduation and going to the NFL. Um, Coaching staff got to give them credit. They've been doing a great job of, plugging in people where we needed it. Recruiting class wasn't as strong as we anticipated, but this 2024 recruiting class, they're making up for it. So I think it's just exciting just to we ain't been in this spot in Michigan. Now the target's on our back. We ain't been in this spot in a very, very long time. So I'm just hoping that we're doing what's necessary, behind closed doors, which, based on the past 2 years, we definitely still are. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of show they put on Saturday and, get some preparation for September.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Target is on our back. I think we're in a spot where we're obviously clearly having success. Back
Mm-hmm.
to back Big Ten championships, back to back playoff appearances. Now we need to, if we can go and get this again, and the work starts with spring game work has already began. But if you can, really put that together again, then you're beginning to really get some momentum, which is
Right.
something like you said that we haven't had in a while. You
Yep.
get that first. You got to get one, get the monkey off your back, then you get your target off your back, and then you can get some momentum where you're really steamrolling this. You start to put together some good recruiting classes, start to put
Yeah.
together, build some diamonds and some roughs, build players up over 3 or 4 years where they're NFL caliber players when they came in is not highly touted.
Mhm.
That's the sign of a flourishing program, and I think we're beginning to show all of that.
Yeah.
And you think about all the turmoil we had this offseason. I mean, we luckily they buried this. Harbaugh was everybody said he was out the door, and then he came back, and then the next week we found out our coach got suspended for computer crimes, and I ain't heard about that
Yeah.
since January.
They,
And
they got him out of
yeah,
there.
they buried that shit. But
Yeah, they stopped that quick.
yeah, but all of the turmoil and I think we just powered through and you know we still haven't heard about Harbaugh contract. I think that that blank check he's letting them sit on that for quite a while, and
Mhm.
it's just looking good.
Yeah.
I'm excited. And you brought up the 24 class, and I know blank on his first name, but I believe the kid's name is Davis, and he's from Carolina.
Jada Davis. Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need to step in right behind JJ. Perfect timing. Let him get a year. Let JJ have another year, and then however that works out, you'll have him in the tuck. I think once again another sign of a flourishing program. So,
Yeah. And
I
I
feel good
think
about it.
right. And I think that next step, that you kind of hope to see as dominoes fall. I mean, we just got that 4-star running back from Ohio. I think he's the number one running back in Ohio. Got a lineman from Ohio. They claimed down there that they didn't offer these guys and this, that, and the third. But that's where it's like now, we're doing such a great job of developing these 3-star guys into these starters and like potential like NFL players. Now it's like I hope we can kind of get a 5-star or two per recruiting class and really start to take that next step. Not that we, sitting here trying to compete with like first round draft picks or anything like that. But like I think the next thing for us is just from like a recruiting standpoint, just building this program out, is start getting some of that star power. We had Hutch go, number 2 overall, had Daxton Hill, go I think like late first round, like 29th or 30th. I was looking forward to us taking that next step of starting to get some of them guys that, 4 stars or 5 stars, start to kind of build out the program and just really get back to where we are as being like that national powerhouse, for hopefully the next 8 to 10 to 15 years. So we're in
Yeah,
a real good spot. I'm excited about it.
yeah, no, I agree, and I think you're talking on the NFL, and I think obviously we can transition into that, but I think
Mm-hmm.
it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yep.
You're not necessarily seeking out NFL players, but if you tend to have a lot of NFL players, you're going to win the games. So
Mm-hmm.
not to say that you can't put together a championship type run with without a lot of NFL talent on the team, but I guarantee there's going to be a couple of them.
Right.
And I think what we need to do is Michigan always have had NFL players in our
Mm-hmm.
those depths of hell bridge rod days. We still had NFL players on the team. And I think what we do need to front load the draft a little bit. You look at the Alabamas, you look at the
Yep.
Georgias, Clemson when they are hot. I don't want to say Ohio. They always every year
Yep. Always got a
have
couple.
have a couple that are upper, let's say top 35 and up. They
Mm-hmm.
have a couple of dudes that are day one starters. People are drooling after them to draft them.
Yep.
And I think that's where we need to. That's that next speed, that next gear,
That next level.
yep, one
So
hundred
it's
percent.
like, yeah, you hope this year it's like at minimum win a playoff game. But now,
Yep.
obviously, we want to get the whole thing. But it's like, we got to continue to just taking these steps, back to back Big Ten championship, back to back college football playoff appearances. Hopefully, we can get back there this time and actually get the job done.
Right.
So yeah. Go ahead and switch gears. We'll talk about our hometown Detroit Lions. We're in a. I ain't never been in this type of spot this time of year when it comes to the Detroit Lions. So this is also just another exciting, part of things. It's from the NFL side of Michigan sports. Almost once again, almost a little too exciting where now we're being looked at as a division favorite, and we're kind of, you start to hear more favorite this, favorite that, target on our back. Just really, a lot of people are expecting a lot more from us, just with the success last year. But yeah, just kind of throw it to you. Free agency, we kind of sweeted out the park. Just picked up Marvin Jones Jr. He's coming back to join us. Want to see what your thoughts are as far as how that's been going, and then what you kind of anticipate with the draft now.
Yeah. No. So I'll be first to admit I have not drank the Kool Aid yet, but I have poured a glass. I am
Yep.
on the boat where I think I think we are beginning to make those right steps. The
Yep.
free agency. I would give them, a very solid grade. A B plus. They went out and took a couple of pieces off the board where we don't have to worry about that in the draft at all. Some guys
Yep.
that are going to step in and be very legit starters for us. So those are all positive signs. We didn't go out and sign anybody, I would say, to a bad contract or took a risk on somebody or, very calculated move. So these are all positive signs. The one thing I would say is I just, I don't know. I don't ultimately believe in the coach. That is a issue of mine. I think is he the guy that started out 1-6 or be the guy that finished 8-9, or
Yeah.
8-1 or whatever it was. So that is really where I'm at on a fence where I just think the GM and Holmes, I'm beginning to believe in him. I think this draft will really, really solidify that he knows what he's doing. If I feel good about this draft here, but I don't have a real reason to doubt him when it comes to that so far. But I would say, though, that's my one hiccup I have on that. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't want to bog it down because this is more or less a celebratory time because we are being championed as a team that could and should win the division, which is
Yeah.
an interesting spot. Which is an interesting spot for the Lions because we ain't never been in a spot
Yeah.
where we have a returning playoff caliber type team, 2 first-round picks, went out and signed some of the better free agents. You know, we just haven't been in this spot in my lifetime, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Even when Stafford and Megatron and all them stuck into the playoff a couple of times, it was by surprise,
Yep.
or it was, it wasn't, we never went into the season even this
Those
excited, I would
expectation.
say. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, I think this draft will really help me seal the deal for, if we go out and really land some of these, Jalen Carter's, Will Anderson, whoever we can get our hand on somebody like that. I
Has a
uh
limit.
yeah, for real. I
Yeah.
think we it just throw gasoline onto what we already have going and really take that defense
Right.
off. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna soak up too much time on it. I just think in general, we are I like where we are. It's a very good
Yeah.
spot and
We finally have competence and stability. Like I said,
yes.
Joe Jury's still out. Campbell, I think he learned from his mistakes, earlier on. Probably, wasn't making all the decisions and everything. It was kind of delegating some stuff. We had Aaron Glenn. He tightened up the defense and made it less. And I guess he might have been calling too much, blitzing and just being like a little too
Yep.
aggressive. So now it's like, we got Brad Holmes who's putting the pieces, in place, giving us all the pieces to be successful. Now it's like playing the cards right, making the correct calls, just being more disciplined on defense. Obviously, like you said, it's exciting to, be like in this situation. I can't tell before the last couple of years of when we would have ever, even had like a solid, like, even free agency class, or even like,
Right.
pick up some key signings. I mean, there's a couple here and there, in recent years that might have been exciting, but nothing as far as like addressing needs the way that they were able to this year. And now it's, like I said, it's a weird spot kind of being, the favorite and kind of a target on your back. But now it's like, okay, we got to put it all together. I saw the last time we won a playoff game was 31 years ago. So now it's like, now what? Now we got to make the playoffs. Like now, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, all of America is waiting for Dan Campbell to take the Lions to the playoffs. And then from there, it's like, can we see if we can steal a playoff game, get a home playoff game, win the division, make it to that next round. So full steam ahead with that. They skipped a year in the rebuild, apparently. So
Yeah,
now it's like no excuses. No excuses.
for sure. Yeah, no, they kind of joking, but they kind of shot themselves in the foot by finishing so strong.
Yeah.
they would have, reeled off, finished like 7 games. We have nine, maybe 9 next year. But
Right.
but no. So I agree. They expedited the process, which I think is a good thing for us because we've 31 years is more than I have been around here on this earth. So I would say, we've had plenty of time to correct
Yeah.
this, but um, and the one thing I would say about the free agency is we haven't it, it's been smart players and smart contracts versus sexy players and sexy contracts. For lack of a better term,
Yep.
we could have went out and made a splash and got Jalen Ramsey. Not to say that wouldn't necessarily been a bad move, but we could have went and did that because he's a bigger name. Or we can go get Cameron Sutton, very solid, probably not as good, much cheaper, a lot more upside at this point in his career.
Yep.
I think that's the type of calculated risk that we're taking now. That maybe a few past regimes we would have maybe went out and got a splash and traded one of these first round picks for Jalen Ramsey or something. We would have did something
Yeah.
completely outrageous,
Swung for the fences.
for something even hard to be excited about. But I think we're sitting back in the tuck. I think we just as far as the draft goes, I think the 6th pick and the 18th pick are very good spots. Obviously you want to be higher, but I think somebody's going to fall in love with a quarterback, and one of them quarterbacks is going to fall, and we'll have an opportunity to get out of that pick if we want.
Yep.
And if nobody falls in love with those quarterbacks, or sorry, if everybody falls in love with the quarterbacks, then some of those defensive players are going to be sitting there for us.
Yep.
And I think that's just a real good spot to be in. I know we want to get into it, but Jalen Carter, some of the some of the his momentum has seemed to disappear, and people are starting to talk down upon him. 2 months ago, surefire, if you have an opportunity to get him anywhere in the draft, you probably should. Now people are saying a little hesitant on it. So I would say, really take the time to evaluate that. But I would agree with you. You got to get him. And the idea that maybe possibly he'll be there at 18 is insane. And it'd be one of those things where I'll be scared. Let's say you do fall in love with him and everything checks out as far as you don't think maybe he's lazy or whatever the case is, what they're just saying about him. But if you do your due diligence and it works out, it'll be hard to pass up him on 6. I mean, you see the talent he has. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's just we have a lot of stuff happening and good things. That 6 and 18 pick is perfect. Yeah. And if not, we sit back and really can shore up the defense.
Yep.
Little talks of that Northwestern tackle going, maybe possibly. That'd be a little bit of a wrench from what we've talked about before, but you can't go wrong with getting a 10-year starter on the old line either. Right. That's going to be something you'll need every year. So
yep. Yeah, I agree with all that. And I just think too, even with Jalen Carter, there was a little bit of rumblings. We might have been able to get Calais Campbell. And I was thinking for a second, I'm like, if we were to land him for a year, bring in Jalen Carter, I think he just kind of, which I think he'll be able to find on the Lions regardless, if we can just bring him in, because I already said, I was telling some people, I'm like, all the off the field stuff, have a conversation around all of that. Campbell made a comment about just some things that he heard. He didn't say what he heard, but he just found it interesting. So he didn't really give didn't want to give anything away as if we're interested or not interested, but he is coming for a visit. I think, man, we can just sit him down and just say look, get you on a little work, a little diet plan, and really just put some structure around him, whatever he's needed. It might not even be, to that extent, but I do feel like if we're able to just wrap arms around him, get him in a nice, stable culture, which I think we're forming one of the better cultures in the whole league. It's kind of based on you hear from different players that played, there before Campbell showed up and after. I think if we're able to just kind of create an environment of just limited distraction and, if he is, just one of them lazier types, just kind of find a way to work through that with him. I mean, 18th, if he fall to 18th, I don't know. I mean, if they say he is who we think he is and what we saw, I mean, all I think about is how he had that quarterback holding up one arm. And I mean, is he that kind of player?
Right.
He's one of the ones for sure. So I think he's worth we're in a spot too. In the past, we'd be, it was dire. That 6th overall pick 4 or 5 years ago, we'd literally be wouldn't even know what they were going to do, nervous about what they might do. Now it's we got all these cards we can play, we can trade back, maybe trade up, and go grab, him or Will Anderson to shore that up. But we're just in a good spot to where we can, kind of play the cards and take some phone calls. And yeah, we're just in a good position to roll the dice in some situations.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: if all the above are, theoretically everybody's available at 6, who are you taking? Who do you?
I'm probably taking Jalen Carter. I think we need that interior, like more than like like an edge rusher. I think this draft has a lot of edge rushers you can snag later on in the draft, but I would definitely take Jalen Carter with that sixth overall pick if he's available.
Yeah. It's hard for me to argue against that. It really is. I do think Will Anderson's probably a better player. I think
Less off the
he,
field, you know.
yeah, Khalil Mack. You know, he's
Yeah, can't go wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
No, so I do think but yeah, I tend to agree with you as far as team development. As far as if it could work out, it would make more sense to get this.
Yeah,
So but yeah, I agree with you on Jalen Carter. Are we out, or how do you feel about Kaija Cansey?
Elijah
Pittsburgh guy.
Kansey.
Uh
That's an interesting one because I don't with him. It's like I do kind of get the Aaron Donald vibes. Like we better not pass up on him again. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Type
yeah,
deal.
right.
I just don't know if like I mean, he's 6 foot, like 280, like getting that sixth overall. That just don't, he feels like more of like a mid round guy to me, just from like
Yeah,
they better get like a Tyree Wilson or you know what I'm saying, just in that more in that area. Um, but I think if he's there at 18, there's no way, no under no circumstances we can't pass him up.
no,
What you think
I
I'll get
completely
him
agree
top
with you.
10?
I think somebody might take a role. I think somebody who could. I think people. I think when we were doing the draft analysis on them, I think he had the most sacks of anybody I looked at, and he ran the fastest 40. So I think somebody could fall in love with him and take him before we get back at 18.
Yeah,
Whether like you said, whether it's worth it at 6 or not, probably not. But it would. I think he is a phenomenal player. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts
yeah,
were on that. But no, I agree with you. Jalen Carter is a difference maker. And
yeah.
if he can come with that same energy that he played with at Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
with Houston, with Hutch, I
Lee
think
McNeil,
that D line is fierce. That D
yeah.
line would be
Got CBS,
yeah.
JJ Watt, Kaminsky.
CV, the
but
great
I just
value.
think,
Yeah.
but I just think
Yeah.
like his style of great value, JJ Watt. But I just think like his style of like, I mean, just like we need to be able to like just really stop that run. And Cansey, he kind of like I can see Cansey like third and long, like you get him in the middle, Hutch on one side, Houston on the other side. And I mean, Cansey, when he got like the move, you know what I'm saying, to be able to just kind of rip and get through the line pretty quick, to where I think with like Carter, he can do that, but he can also just like, plug up, command double teams.
For
And
sure.
I just think like how I kind of look at it is like if you want to get a guy that top 10, you want somebody that commands double teams and can like stop the run and control the line of scrimmage to where I think Cansey probably could too, but I just like I ain't seen enough of him to where, you know, if he's gonna be kind of like that one to, kind of be commanding double teams how Jalen Carter will. I think I look
Yeah.
at Kansas kind of striking me as just like that, shooting gaps, like weapon, you know what I'm saying? Second and long, third and long, you bring him in with two guys coming off the edge just to make things a little more difficult. Both
Yeah.
great players. So if like ideal situation, if we were to get Carter and Kansas, could you imagine Hutch, Carter, Kansas, and Houston on third and long
Oh my god.
in the
Yeah.
in
No,
Ford
seriously,
Field
who
with
gonna
Kirk
stop that?
Cousins
Yeah.
back there? Already nervous?
Yeah. No, yeah, no. Just tee off on them. No, I agree with you on that. I think I don't want to buy into the negative about it, but I think
Yeah.
it is hard. And you do see a lot of players of that ilk that do tend to have some of the things they're saying. And that's
Mhm.
outside of I think the legal trouble, as sad as it is, I think that is, I don't know. I'd chalked it up as, things
21,
that
22 year
young,
old.
dumb people do. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's not out there maliciously trying to harm people in vehicles. I think it
Right.
was, yeah. So that's what I chalked it up to. But as far as everything else, it's hard for me to listen to it. But I think this is what I will say. I think he is a higher risk, higher reward player. Right. I think he could be a game record for 10 years for you. Or we could be sitting around talking about, hey, remember, you know, I'm blanking on my man that signed with the Washington Redskins back in the day. But
Uh, oh, Albert Hainsworth.
Haynesworth, yeah, he could be one. I think
He got
we'll
his
be out
money and
there.
was like, I'm good.
we could be sitting there watching him do physical test in the parking lot, but
Right.
I think I do think it is potentially worth that. I just think that D line could be so top notch, so top shelf,
Yeah.
and I think that is how you can build that playoff team,
Hmm.
that playoff game winning team is could be on the back of that defensive line, and you can do
Yep.
that in about a month with just going all in. And but I believe in the team, like you said before we hopped on, anything but a tight end. I'm yeah,
You know.
no tight end, no receiver. I think we could pretty much work with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
with that. Like
So
I think, yeah, like it's my ideal like 6th and 18th pick. Like would be like Will Anderson and or like Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. Like ideally, what if like Will Anderson at 6 and Jalen Carter at 18? That would be.
oh my god, yeah,
I
no,
just I
Brad.
just
Hey,
think like with
hey,
this draft,
Holmes would be the goat if he did that.
bro. I just think with this draft, like if we just go defense that first round, don't get too pretty. Just give us another year of just shoring up that defense. Next year, they can get whoever they want to get a kicker first round next year. I don't give a fuck. But I just think this year, I'm playing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't care about
no,
that. But I just think like this year, man, just we gotta address defense. You look at all these teams, the Eagles had like 7 or 8 guys they were rotating in all season off the D line. Chiefs, Bengals, Bills. I mean, they all just have these like A1 pass rushers, these just solid D lines that I mean, that's how you win football games. And that was
yep.
our biggest issue last year. We had Geno Smith he looked like Geno Smith of West Virginia because we couldn't get no pass rush. Like we let all these players like superstars against us. We just got to shore up that D line.
We gave Gino the confidence for the whole.
That's how he's springboarded him to that comeback player of the year.
We got Gino 50. We got Gino $100 million.
Yeah, see, for
Yeah,
real. Like
yeah,
we springboard him to having that incredible season. So now I just think like if we can just stay within what we really need and don't get too pretty, like we already got JMO last year, already got one shiny toy.
yep,
This year I think we got to just get them big hog mollies, as they call them, up front, just to be able to stop that line,
yeah,
to control that line of scrimmage.
yeah. No, get them big uglies, and
Yeah, top
we'll
five O
and we could.
line, top five D
Yep.
line. Let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, and no, we can easily, like you said, playoffs in Ford Field would rock the city of Detroit.
Yes.
They would literally probably need to call the riot squad if they won the playoff game.
Yeah.
And
Seriously.
yeah,
It's been that
so
long.
and you do that on the back of this defense. Or we continue to stay in the misery and keep playing these games where we're going out and getting players we don't really need.
Yeah.
But I think the pages turned a little bit, so I'm excited. As far as the kicker goes, I wouldn't be mad if we took Jake Moody with the last pick or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. I think we did
yeah.
sign the money
Are we?
Badgley back, but I mean, these kickers night and day with these kickers. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
with you on
You got
that.
anything else for people?
That's all I got. Be back next week to just continue that anticipation, just working it up until it's a draft time. It's around the corner. So
Yes, sir. All right. Peace.